Hello my friends, welcome to Tyrone's channel. It's been long overdue. I'll be talking about my fourth favorite Western, and that is Dodge City. It was released on April the 8th, 1939. Rotten Tomatoes gave this 100%. You must think they're crazy, but they're not. Because they saw the light, and you're going to see the light too. Starring Errol Flynn and Olivia Allen, Ann Sheridan and Bruce Cabot, and Alan Hale. Warner Brothers had the best supporting and character actors in the business since the 30s and 40s and 50s. No studio had better character actors than they did. You have the man himself who directs this masterful movie, Michael Curtiz. The man who wrote this screenplay, Robert Buckner. The man who produced this beautiful movie was Halby Wallace. The man who wrote this beautiful score piece, Max Steiner. Max Steiner had a busy year that year because 1939 was the best year of any movies coming out. Produced. Pretty sweet. It was the best. No year is better than 1939 to even this day. Not the quality they had. You had 7 Westerns that came out in 1939, and the first one that comes out is Jesse James, starring Tyrone, Henry Fonda, directed by Henry King, and was released on January 27th in Technicolor. The second Western that comes out is The Oklahoma Kid, starring James Cagney, Humphrey Bogart, and directed by Lloyd Bacon. It's in black and white, released on March the 2nd. The third Western that comes out is Stagecoach, starring Claire Trevor, John Wayne, and John Carradine, and directed the man himself, John Ford. It's in black and white. It's in black and white, and it comes out March the 3rd. Isn't that crazy? 2nd March. Anyway, so the fourth Western you already know, it's Dodge City. It's in April. The fifth Western that comes out is Union Pacific, starring Barbara Stanwyck, Joe McCrea, and directed by Cece Bunnell. It's in black and white, and it's released on May the 5th. It's a pretty good Western. The sixth Western that comes out is The Drums of the Mohawks, starring Henry Fonda and Claudia Colbert, directed by the man himself, John Ford. It's in Technicolor, released November the 10th. Pretty good Western. The seventh Western that comes out and is called Destiny Rides Again, starring James Stewart, Miley Dietrich, and directed by George Marshall. It's in black and white, and it's released December the 29th. All these Westerns are great and awesome, but only one stands alone because one man is the Western star in this, really. But they're all Western stars, but he's the biggest. So, but the critics loved Stagecoach and Oklahoma Kid and Union Pacific and The Drums of the Mohawk. The two Westerns they didn't like and didn't care for was Jesse James and Dodge City. How ironic is that, huh? My two favorite actors, Errol Flynn and Tyrone Power. Pretty messed up, isn't it? But Errol Flynn didn't believe he could do this role anyways. He didn't really want to do Westerns. He didn't think he was right for the part, but he was wrong because Jack Warner and Halby Wallace won him in this Western. It was a big deal because all the studios wanted to make Westerns. The critics would tell you today was because John Ford was the only one who really wanted to do Westerns and they all copied him. That's a damn lie because they all wanted to make Westerns. Fox Studio did, Paramount, Universal, Warner Brothers, you name it. Republic, all these studios wanted to make Westerns. They were dying, they were itching because they knew the Western was coming back in the late 30s. You know, it was dead for a spell, but then they brought it back. Pretty sweet. So, you know, the critics, you just can't believe them, man. You gotta believe, you gotta watch these movies. I collect a lot of Westerns, by the way. You know, I'm a big fan of Westerns. I enjoy this, man. I breathe, I eat, I enjoy watching Western movies, man. Nothing makes me more happier than watching a Western, as you can see. So, A little history on Michael Curtiz. Michael Curtiz was born in Budapest, Hungary in 1886 on Christmas Eve. So he started as an actor and he was credited in 1912. He started his feature film directing, feature film in, he was the first one to do it in Hungary. No one else has done it. He was the first one to do it, and he brought more, culture to his own country. It's pretty sweet. No one would think that this guy had this much talent and come out with all these great movies. But he finally gets a contract to Warner Brothers because he's making all these movies in Europe in the beautiful silent era. You have these great directors in the silent era, by the way, like Raoul Walsh, Albert Hitchcock, John Ford, Cecil Bunnell, and Michael Curtiz. All these guys were like the forefathers of motion pictures. There's other guys, of course, don't get me wrong, but these guys are huge directors. So Michael Curtiz gets a contract with Warner Brothers in 1926, and it lasts all the way, it ends until 1953. That's a long time to be with Warner Brothers. And he directed about 64 movies he directed. The cool thing is, he came out with so many good movies. He's probably has the best career than any director in the industry, really. Because if you look at Captain Blood, he actually co-wrote the script, some of it too, by the way. He had a hand in it. He did The Prince and the Pauper, The Charge Light Brigade, Casablanca, Yankee Doodle Dandy. The list goes on, with this man. This man was the one who started with the camera with the wheels. So when the camera's moving in, it's moving in nicely. Or when the person's walking, the camera's on the wheels. He's the one who thought of it. He's also the master of the dolly shot when they open the door and he introduces you to the character. He was also good with the crane shot. There was so many good things he did, and he's actually the master of the shadows. If you see the Seahawk, the fight sequence with Errol Flynn and the other guy, it's pretty cool how the shadows he shows and uses. And so in Robin Hood, he does a terrific job, even with Casablanca. So he did musicals, he did all these things, right? So his last two movies, one of them is really good. It was released in 1961. It was called St. Francis of Assisi. It's a really good movie. I highly recommend that movie. If you love St. Francis, you'll really love how he portrays St. Francis in this. And thank God he did it, because I don't see anybody who could do a better job than he did as St. Francis. He did a great job. I wish he did St. Anthony, because I know if he did St. Anthony, it would have been a masterpiece. And his last Western was called Comancheros. It was released the same year, 1961, and it was starring John Wayne. He ends up dying in 1962, April the 10th, of cancer. He had a great career. But when his career ended with Warner Brothers, he ended up doing a movie with Paramount, and he really didn't do well. I mean, he did well, but he wasn't well as a free agent. But he did really, because he's used to Warner Brothers. He was really a studio guy, and that's what he's known for. And he learned a lot from his craft. But he did a great movie called, what do you call that movie? White Christmas with Bing Crosby. Really great masterpiece Christmas movie. It's a really good movie. So Michael Curtiz and Errol Flynn did 12 movies together. He discovered Errol Flynn really they put him in this bit part called the case of the bride. It was released in 1935. Errol Flynn is just playing a dead corpse, and Michael Curtiz says this. He says, as a dead corpse, he has personality. I never seen that before, as a person who's dead has personality as a dead man. That's what he said about Errol Flynn. Pretty cool, huh? He also helped John Garfield, The Four Daughters. It was released in 1938. He directed that. And he helped John Garfield too. And John Garfield's a good, a good actor. He had a lot of good talent too. And the one he discovers from a nightclub, no one discovers her, and all she wanted to do was sing, and it was Doris Day. She had no intention of being an actress. Pretty sweet, isn't it? So Michael Curtiz tells her, I want you to do a screen test. She does a screen test, and she starts crying, and he says, what are you crying about? He says, you're a natural. He says, do me one favor, he told Doris Day. She says, what? He says, don't take no acting lessons. You're perfect the way you are. Because he says, you're genuine. And it's true. On the screen, Doris Day is so genuine. You think she's the girl next door. She's so good. She's such a good singer, but also a good actress. And thank God for Michael Curtiz. We never have all these beautiful movies with Doris Day. He directed 2 movies with Doris Day, The High Seas and stuff. It was released in 1948. It was a good movie, man. She had a lot of good movies. But Michael Curtiz had a really eye for the talent for these 3 guys. 3 people. I shouldn't say 3 guys. Doris Day's not a guy. But she was, she acted like a tomboy, but she was pretty cool. So, Errol Flynn and Michael Curtiz, they made this awesome Western, right? With Olivia Havilland and Ann Sheridan and Bruce Cabot, Alan Hale and Big Boy Williams. All these actors in this. And if you watch this movie for the first time, just watch it with nobody there. You're going to enjoy this movie. You're going to appreciate it because in the beginning of this movie, you see this beautiful buffalo herd. Errol Flynn's riding his horse with 2 amigos. And you see this beautiful train coming and a stagecoach, and they're racing right at the beginning of the movie. Neck to neck. It's pretty awesome. And it blows the horn and it scares all the buffalo. But Errol Flynn plays a guy who's hired to bring in cattle and bring in people, wagons, to want to move into Dodge City. And I don't want to give up too much of the movie, but you got to check out this movie. It's pretty sweet. It is an awesome scene, pretty funny scene with Errol Flynn and Big Boy Williams and Alan Hale. And Williams doesn't believe in signs. And so check out the scene. It's pretty sweet, my friends.
That 2.
I call it.
Raise it 5. Oh, 5.
I'm dead.
King's up. Well, I guess we better quit, boys.
Because you winner, huh?
You read that sign, didn't you?
We don't believe in signs. Oh, that sheriff's a big four-flusher, and this sign's been bad enough to me all night.
Guess that'll show you Hatton ain't bluffing.
That's right, gentlemen. Hatton's not bluffing. You're all under arrest. For what? Not believing in signs. All right, deputies, take it over. Go on. Let go now.
Well, I tried to warn him, Wade, but I guess they gotta learn through experience.
Well, I don't know what you're warning people about.
What do you mean?
You're north of Front Street, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you're carrying a gun, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right, you're under arrest.
What?
Come on.
Oh, but Wade, I'd feel undressed without my gun.
Where you're going, you won't need any clothes for a few days.
Oh, but if I was you, I'd rather arrest my brother than me. Hey, Rusty, you are a traitor. What?
Sorry, boys, I can't do anything about it.
Hey, Wade! You ain't gonna keep me in here, are you?
I'm sorry, Tex, you read that notice the same as anyone else. 3 days in there won't do you a bit of harm.
Oh, but you can't do this to me after all we've been through together. We fought the war together, built a railroad together, we ate, drank, slept, lived, and died together.
Now we're going to be in jail together, You in there and me out here.
Well, my friends, I hope you enjoy that Western with Errol Flynn and Alan Hale and Big Boy Williams. Pretty funny scene, wasn't it? I thought it was. You know, this Western with Michael Curtiz, Errol Flynn, and Olivia Havilland, it was their first one. It's a masterpiece. They slam a home run right out of the park. And you know, Olivia Havilland and Errol Flynn, they did 3 Westerns. The second one they did together was with Michael Curtiz called Santa Fe Trail with Ronald Reagan. It's in black and white. It was released in 1940. The last one that Errol Flynn and Olivia Havilland do together was Raoul Walsh. It was Die With Their Boots On. And that was my first pick. It's a masterpiece. It's the greatest Western that ever was. You can argue with me. You can write it on your comments. Whatever makes you happy. The last Western that Michael Curtiz and Errol Flynn do together is called Virginia City. It's released in 1940. It's pretty sweet. So all those 3 did 3 separate together. They did an awesome job. And this movie was promoted hardcore by the radio, by the newspaper, by word of mouth, and posters. I had the biggest premiere in the state of Kansas, in the city of Dodge. They premiered this movie hardcore. Errol Flynn's leading the parade with this beautiful train they had in the 1800s. And they have all the contract players like John Garfield, Humphrey Bogart, Betty Davis, Olivia Havilland. Everybody who was in the movie was there. About 50 or 60,000 people showed up for that movie, for that premiere. It was crazy. I wish I lived then because that would have been awesome for me to be there. Maybe you get an autograph with Errol Flynn. Because back then it was hard to get pictures, but at least you could get an autograph. So it would have been sweet to see him. And Errol Flynn was really a good horseman. He really loved horses. He knew how to take care of them. He knew how to ride them really well. The guy was really, really loved horses. And so I watch all these Westerns, these 7. But the one I watched the most between, because to me the 2 best, that the critics love, of course, the best is Stagecoach. And I watched Stagecoach and Dodge City back to back. And hands down, you could tell Errol Flynn's a better star than John Wayne. This movie's better than Stagecoach. 100 times better. Anybody could see it. But the critics love Stagecoach. And maybe you could write in your comments and say which one was better to you. What's your favorite Western? That'd be pretty cool, too, to do. I'd like to hear your comments. What's your favorite Western? Because Western is something special. This country was built, from the ground up. And it's kind of cool to see how they did these movies over the years. And you got to appreciate what this director did, Michael Curtiz. He did something great, man. Special, And this movie made Errol Flynn a Western star, and you could see it. He's a bigger star than John Wayne. He's a bigger star than Clint Eastwood. I'm sorry. The reason why Clint Eastwood and John Wayne are known so much is because they lived longer and they did more Westerns. Errol Flynn only did 8. They did way more than Errol Flynn. John Wayne did more than Clint Eastwood. And I love Clint Eastwood, but Clint Eastwood, he's one-dimensional, man. He doesn't say much. And those people will say, oh, he doesn't have to. No. He's one-dimensional, man. I enjoy Clint Eastwood, but he's not as good as Errol Flynn, man. He can't do swashbuckling. Eastwood cannot do swashbuckling movies. I'm sorry, he can't. I mean, he's like, he could do Westerns. He could do cop movies. Errol Flynn could do it all, man. He could do cop movies, too. So I hope you enjoy this Western. I hope you watch it thoroughly and give it a chance, man. And don't listen to the negative waves. Because there's a lot of people like that, man. And don't be like one of those people who don't watch Westerns. They only watch a few and they think they know it all. And they know nothing. I watch a lot of Westerns, more than most people have. I collect a lot of Western, you know, so I know what I'm talking about, man. And I'm not, boasting here. You can ask my brothers. They know I collect a lot of Westerns. And I love watching special features and reading their books. And I enjoy it, man. But there's one thing I gotta say. Maybe, just maybe, I made you into a narrow Flint fan. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.